Hello everyone, I hope and I believe you all are doing great. This is Dr. Arya, your pathology faculty. Now we will be starting with the healing of fracture. It is the last topic of your bone pathology. Okay, let's start. So what is fracture? Fracture means discontinuity in the bone structure due to any mechanical forces. Like I was fighting with some person. Now what they do, they just twisted my hand. Okay, as a result of which I am a very prone to injury kind of person, so I got a fracture over here. Then what will happen? What is fracture? There will be a discontinuity in the bone structure. Like if I draw, I don't know what kind of bone I am drawing. This break in continuity of bone. Then what happens? There is the process of healing. What is healing? There is restoration of bone continuity and function. See, after sometimes what will happen? As everyone says, time heals everything. So time heals the fracture as well. You just have to give some amount of time to it. Okay. Now, what are the objectives of fracture healing? You have to restore the anatomical continuity. Like if the bone was like this, it is fractured, then the bone cannot remain like this throughout the life. There should be the anatomical correction. Then second is to regain the mechanical strength. If my bone is break from here, how will I be able to do the work with my hands, right? So there will be no strength in my hands. So they have to regain the mechanical strength. Re-establish the normal functions. Obviously, I am not able to, even if I have to pick this bottle, I am not able to pick this bottle with my hand, right? If there is a fracture. Next. What are the types of fracture healing? There are primary and there are secondary. Primary means direct healing and secondary means indirect healing. Okay. Either there can be a direct healing, means the fracture that has occurred, it will heal by itself, or either I have to give some supplements, either I have to give some support to it to heal, right? Primary fracture healing occurs with rigid fixations and minimal gap. No calluses form and involves direct remodeling and of laminar bones. You have something called as laminar bone. So it does not require much fancy things to occur, much fancy things to take place for the bones to attach to each other, right? So that is the primary fracture. Just like your PHCs and CHCs you have, right? In PHC you have minimal facilities, but in CHC you have better facilities, and in tertiary care more better facilities. What are the conditions favoring your primary healing? First one is precise anatomical reduction. Second one is rigid internal fixation, like with the help of plates and screws, like with the help of, this was the fracture. I put a plate and a screw. I put a plate and a screw very tight. Very tight, okay? Next is, what is the mechanism of primary healing? So for the mechanism, there is cutting cones formed by the osteoclast. Then osteoblast deposits in the laminar bones. What is the secondary fracture healing? In the secondary fracture healing, it is the most common type, and you have something called as callus formation. That is there. That they occurs without the rigid fixation. They occurs without the rigid fixation. And sometimes, you know, there is something called as malunion and there is something called as non-union. Okay, so what happens in the non-union? The bone is not able to fuse properly, right? Next, what are the stages? So for the stages, you have hematoma formation first, then there is inflammatory phase, soft callus formation, then there is hard callus, and there is remodeling. Okay, so you can remember it with the mnemonic of his HR, his HR. Okay, in the hematoma formation, what happens is they occurs immediately at the time of fractures. Immediately they occur. There is blood vessel rupture. Obviously, hematoma means blood. There is blood vessel rupture which causes the hematoma formation. Then there are inflammatory cells infiltrate. What are the roles of inflammatory cells? So for the roles of inflammatory cells, you have the neutrophils and the macrophages. They remove the debris and they release the interleukin-1, TNF-alpha and your TGF-β. In the inflammatory phase, it begins at within 24 to 48 hours. There is granulation tissue is formed and you have capillary budding and fibroblast proliferation. Next you have is the soft callus formation, that is with the help of fibrocartilaginous tissues. They bridge between the gap of the fractures. Like this was your fracture. Now what will happen? There will be a gap. Gap of what? Gap of fibrocartilaginous tissue. There is a gap of fibrocartilaginous tissues. Okay, they provide the stability but not the rigidity. Next you have is the hard callus formation. In hard callus formation, what happens? You have the osteoblast from the woven bones. They have the callus which becomes mineralized and they occur within the 2 to 3 weeks. Next you have the remodeling phase. Obviously, like even if you are in your healing phase, what will happen? Some days you will just break down into tears. After a phase, you will start becoming a new you. Okay, you will be in your remodeling phase. So woven bones are replaced by the laminar bones. Now woven bones are replaced by your laminar bones. Okay, they follow the Wool's law, that is the stress lines. What are the molecular mediators? You have your BMPs, IGF and interleukin 6. Difference between osteoblast and osteoclast. Osteoblast, B for B, they are responsible for the bone formation. Osteoclast, C for C, is responsible for the bone resorption. They are basically important for maintaining a balance. Balance in what? Balance in your remodeling. Okay. Next you have is the periosteum and endosteum. So they are the source of your progenitor cells. They contribute to the callus formations and they are essential for the repair. What are the factors affecting your healing? You have the local factor and the systemic factor. In local factor, you have your blood supply. If the blood supply will be good, then there will be healing process will occur very smoothly and it will occur in a very proper fashion. Infection, if there are less infections or if there are more infections, the the process of fracture healing will occur in a very delayed fashion, right? Then you have the mobility. In the systemic age, if the person is a younger person, then there are chances that the fracture healing will take some time. Simultaneously, if the person is a younger person, then the process of fracture healing will occur very rapidly. Then is the nutrition. If there is proper amount of nutrition that the person is taking, the person is not consuming pizza, the person is not consuming burger, then the fracture healing will occur properly. And you have the hormones and the drugs that are responsible. Local factors involve your infections, excessive motions, delays the healing. That is why it is very advisable if the person is having a fracture, you have to take a bed rest. Okay, you have to take a bed rest. Systemic factors I have already told you: age, nutrition and hormones, right? What is delayed union? It is slower than the normal healing. What are the causes of delayed union? If there is infection, if there is poor immobilization, and if there is any systemic disease, right? Non-union, in non-union there is a failure of union after prolonged period. Radiologically you are able to see that there is pseudoarthritis, means a false joint. In malunion what happens is there is bone heals in abnormal alignment. I have already told you that if this was my break, and if this was my fracture, okay, if this was the fracture, then what happens is my bone has started to grow in this segment, and now they have attached like this and this. Instead of going straight, they have attached like this. There is a malunion, which leads to what? Which leads to a deformity and the functional impairment. What is pseudoarthritis? Arthrosis. That means there is fibrous capsule around the fracture ends. Okay. Like this was my fracture. Around that I am having the fibrous capsule. Around that I am having the fibrous capsule. Okay. They are cavity filled with the fluid mimicking the synovial joint. Then you have the evaluation of healings. You are mainly able to see it with the help of X-ray. The disappearance of fracture line you will be able to see, and in clinical there is absence of tenderness on abnormal movements. What are the complications? There can be infections, there can be delayed union, non-union, malunion, and pseudoarthrosis. In bone grafting, they provides for the osteogenic cells and the scaffolds. Types. What are the types? Autograft and the allograft. Okay. Fixation method. You have the external fixation, that is by the intramedullary nailings, plates and screws. Not your regular plates and screws. Okay, don't put that regular plates and screws. They are the orthopedic instruments that you will read in your final year. Rigid fixation promotes the primary healing. Next you have is the radiological appearance. In early you are able to see the fracture lines are visible, and late you are able to see there is callus formation and consolidation. Next, what is the role of physiotherapy? See, it prevents the stiffness and atrophy and gradual mobilizations and improve the bone strength. What is pathological fracture healing? They occurs in diseased bone like osteoporosis and metastasis. Healing delays due to the poor bone quality. Healing in children is faster and greater remodeling potential. Healing in elderly is obviously slower and reduced osteoblastic activity, common in delayed bone and infections. Enhancers of healings are electric stimulation, ultrasound therapy, and BMP therapy. Clinical correlation is that there is a tibial fracture healing timeline of 10 to 12 weeks, varies by bones and fixation method. What is the mnemonic? I have told you, you have to remember his HR. That are your phases: hematoma formation, inflammation, soft callus formation, hard callus formation, and remodeling. What is the summary? In the summary, remember, bone healing is complex biological process. It aims to restore the structural and the functional anatomy of the bones, and it is affected by local and systemic factors. Now we are done with this chapter. If you are having any sort of doubt, please feel free to ask me. Please feel free to DM me. Thank you so much.